It's always disappointing to me when the aftermath of a great fight, and this was a great fight between Canelo and Triple G, when the aftermath of a fight like this is marred by bitter, salty little fanboys crying because they didn't get the result that they were hoping for. It's got nothing to do with what actually took place in the ring, or very little to do with it. It's got to do with the result they were praying for. And the result a lot of these Triple G fanboys were praying for was that Golovkin would walk straight through Canelo, knock him out, and win in decisive fashion. That didn't happen. And now they're struggling to come to terms with the reality of what actually did take place. The reality was, it was a highly competitive fight. I'm not sitting here telling you that Canelo definitely won, and if you had Triple G winning, there's a problem. No, not at all. I'm saying it was so competitive that you could have scored it for either man by a couple rounds. That's how competitive it was. Max Kellerman turned to Harold Lederman at one point during the fight, and Harold Lederman had Triple G well ahead. Max Kellerman turned to Harold Lederman and he said, at some point, quality boxing has to outweigh just moving forward. It was clear that the HBO commentary team were at odds with Harold Lederman's scorecard, especially Kellerman. And that summed it up right there. Golovkin was moving forward for most of the second half of the fight, but he wasn't being effective in a lot of the rounds. His punches were being half blocked, half slipped, sometimes fully blocked and fully slipped. Whereas when Canelo was throwing, his shots were more eye-catching and they were landing more cleanly. He just looked like the classier fighter in there. But it became a situation in some of the rounds where, yes, Canelo was landing the cleaner shots, definitely, the more eye-catching shots. But was he landing enough of them to negate Triple G's extra work rate and aggression? That's where it becomes subjective, and it's down to what you actually like in that particular round. That's from a person looking at it objectively. But the fanboys, incapable of being objective, they're not interested in that. They didn't get the result they wanted, so they're kicking and screaming. Sad stuff. Yeah, again, I picked Triple G to win the fight. So if I was a man that's all about ego, then I'd be trying to defend my own prediction by screaming robbery and saying, actually, Golovkin did win and my prediction was right. It's just the judges robbed that prediction win from me if I was all about ego. But no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, look, if you thought Canelo won, cool. I don't have an issue with that. If you thought Triple G won, cool. If you thought it was a draw, in fact, a draw might be the best result because so many of the rounds were close. Now, let me just talk about the judges' scoring, because that's got a lot of people bent out of shape. The Adelaide Bird scorecard was ridiculous, and Canelo does have a history of getting these ridiculous scorecards in his fights. We saw it against Mayweather. We saw it against several fighters, even against Miguel Cotto. I felt like the Cotto fight was way closer than the judges had it. I had Canelo only winning the Cotto fight by 1 round, but somehow they had him winning by a huge margin. So Canelo definitely has a history of getting extremely favorable treatment by judges. No question about that. And I think the Adelaide Bird scorecard in this fight was testament to that. However, the other scorecards, I can't complain about. One of them had it a draw. I can't complain about that. There was definitely enough close rounds for that to have been the case, where Golovkin marching forward but not being effective. And then the other judge had it 113, 115 in favor of Golovkin. Again, I can't argue with that. If you had Golovkin winning by a couple rounds, I'm not arguing with you. Not at all. That's legit. But these people acting like Golovkin won it by a huge margin, I don't know what brand of crack you're smoking. I don't know what you were looking at. Harold Lederman at ringside, I don't know how old he is, 150 years old. He was, God knows what he had in his little metal flask that he was swigging, God knows. But this was a close fight, people. This talk of robbery is just nonsense. So that was the scorecards, all right? Then you had the Compubox. How many times do we have to go through this? You cannot score a fight on Compubox Why? Very simple. Judges don't score fights on Compubox. You do know that, right? Why don't they? Because Compubox does not take into account the quality of the punches. A lot of the shots that get counted on Compubox are shots that are hitting gloves because the fight is being fought at a fast pace, because the guy hitting the button can't always see exactly whether the shot landed or not. He's just, okay, that probably landed. You look back on replay, a lot of the shots that they're counting as landed didn't land, and vice versa. Some of them they're counting that missed, or that they're not counting which missed, probably did land. So this is not a particularly accurate system, this Compubox. And again, it might give you a general view of who is throwing and landing more shots. It's not particularly accurate. And again, it doesn't take into account the quality of the punches. If you can look at this Canelo Triple G fight and try and tell me that Canelo didn't land the majority of the eye-catching and clean shots throughout the fight, then there is something seriously wrong with you. Because he did. He just did. I don't know what people are looking at. I could probably count on one hand the amount of clean power shots that I remember Triple G landing. There was very few of them. Whereas Canelo landed a lot of clean power shots to the head and to the body. And that is what judges have to, they have to look at that and say, okay, well, Triple G's coming forward. He's kind of coughing with shots and, you know, they're not very high quality. Some of them are being half blocked and kind of landing on the side of Canelo's head, but half of the glove is on his, you know, arm or elbow or whatever, or in his own glove. He's not really getting through with clean shots, but when Canelo lets rip, they're landing cleanly. So I think I'm going to give that round to Canelo. This is how judges are thinking of it. You know, certainly the judge who scored it a draw, and even the judge who had it 2 rounds for Golovkin. Unlike a lot of the Golovkin fanboys who had Golovkin winning by wide margin. I mean, they're just not serious, these people. So, yeah, again, I picked Golovkin to win on points. Didn't happen. No problem. But some people were so desperate for their hero Golovkin to win that anything less than that result, they were going to kick up a stink no matter what. Golovkin literally had to be knocked unconscious in this fight by Canelo for there to be no fanboys of Golovkin's that were going to complain. Yeah, if there was anything less than Golovkin being, even if he got knocked unconscious, there would be some Golovkin fanboys that would complain somehow and make up some type of, you know, ridiculous excuse as to why it wasn't a legitimate win for Canelo. That, good God. So these kind of things always sour the aftermath of a great fight. It was a great fight. You know, that's the bottom line for me, is I got a great fight. I was entertained. I wasn't disappointed by the action. It was great. You know, but no, we have to get into this whole silly fanboy stuff of tossing around insults and behaving like idiots. Really, really sad stuff, people. If you can't be objective, I'm not even interested in having you on my channel. You have to have the ability to be objective. Yeah? Again, if you had it for Golovkin close, cool. No problem with that. And if you had it for Canelo close, no problem. But the people talking about robbery, what brand of crack are you smoking? I don't know what you're on. Again, you want to talk about that 118, 110 scorecard? Cool. That was disgraceful. That's almost expected when it comes to Canelo fights. It shouldn't be expected, but it is, because he's had so many of those type of scorecards. But the actual result itself, a draw, that's legit. You can see that fight as a draw, legitimately. Canelo, after the fight, has been talking about how he wasn't impressed by Triple G's power. I think Triple G's power is overblown. He's not as big a puncher as they say he is. He can bang, but it's not like they say he is. And the past 3 fights really have shown that. He never put Kell Brook on the floor. Never put Canelo on the floor. Did put Danny Jacobs on the floor, a guy who is known for having a bit of a shaky chin. But Jacobs wasn't afraid to go toe-to-toe with Golovkin throughout that fight, particularly in the second half. And he never touched canvas again. He never got hurt again. So Golovkin's power is not as prodigious as they say it is, as the fanboys say. No, it's not. And actually, his skills are not as good as I thought they were. Because I thought that at long range, Golovkin would be the better boxer. But that wasn't the case. At long range, Golovkin was really struggling. He was trying to do the same thing he did to Lemieux with the jab, but Canelo's head movement, Canelo was just way more dynamic than Triple G. So I was surprised by how ineffective Triple G's long-range boxing is here. Maybe I overestimated Triple G. I overestimated his skills. Because I know what Canelo can do. I've seen Canelo fight in that particular fashion many times before, lighting people up and moving and combinate. I've seen him do that before. Maybe not as effectively in spots as that, but I've seen him do that before. But with, Triple G, I thought that his good jab, his positioning would be able to negate all that kind of stuff. But no. He only really started having success when he came forward and abandoned the jab. I mean, he was still throwing the jab, but he wasn't trying to stand off and throw the jab. He abandoned standing off, is what I should have said. And he started marching forward and applying pressure. That's the only time when he started having success. And even then, it only came about because Canelo started slowing down. When Canelo still had all his energy about him, Golovkin really wasn't in the fight. He was getting lit up. So talent-wise, skill-wise, Canelo was on a different level to Triple G. But Triple G had the stamina, certainly has a great chin, determination, applying pressure, etc. And when Canelo slowed down, Triple G came into it. So, anyway, great fight. Will we see a rematch? I don't know. It's up to Canelo. I don't know whether a draw qualifies as allowing Canelo to exercise the rematch clause in the contract. Maybe there won't be an immediate rematch. Maybe Jamal Charlo will get his shot against Gennady Golovkin for the WBC. And a lot of these fighters are going to be very confident against Golovkin now. Not just after the Jacobs fight, now after this fight against Canelo. Because he's looking limited. His limitations were exposed. Golovkin is a fantastic fighter. And I'm not here to say that he's a hype job, he's this, that, and he's not. But his limitations definitely got exposed. More so in the Canelo fight, actually, than they did in the Jacobs fight, for my money. Even though I felt like Jacobs won against Triple G, Jacobs wasn't as effective in landing consistent power shots as Canelo was. Right? The thing that Jacobs was more effective with than Canelo is that Jacobs prevented Triple G from walking him down the way that he walked Canelo down. Triple G had more respect for Jacobs in the latter half of the fight. I think because Jacobs just had better stamina and maybe, the extra height and reach and whatnot. Whereas Canelo didn't find it as easy to keep Triple G off of him. But in terms of landing the clean shots and the combinations, Canelo really exposed Triple G a lot more. And he was able to slip that jab with head movement, land his own jab, combinations, body shots. Triple G's weaknesses have been exposed. And these other guys like Charlo are going to be extremely confident when they step in the ring with him. There's not going to be any fear anymore. I always felt that Triple G wouldn't be around too much longer. And I've been saying this for a while. I don't think he's going to be around too much longer because he's taking too much punishment. And in this fight, right, if you're trying to tell me that Triple G didn't take a lot of punishment in this fight, again, there's something wrong with you. He's in his mid-30s now. He's taken a lot of punishment. He took a lot of punishment against Danny Jacobs, took a lot of punishment against Canelo. I know Brook is only a welterweight, but he took a fair amount of shots in the Brook fight. The way he fights, coming forward, catching a lot of shots with his face, he's not going to last that long now. I'm telling you. Somebody is going to beat Triple G pretty soon. So those are my thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. It's Hatman, I'm out.